It's so good.
I can't hear you.
Nobody can hear me, right? I was saying hello
Yeah,
and
we can.
telling
Yeah,
you pleasantries and going to get them. How's that? Good. Janet, Ken is not going to make the meeting today because it's 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And he wished for you to chair the meeting.
Okay, I'll do that. And we have a quorum, right?
Yes, we have Debbie, you, and I'm assuming Nick is Barbara.
I hope so. Nick, is that you? We have a
Can you hear me?
silent quorum.
Yeah.
There he- Okay,
Okay,
And there's Jason.
and there's Jason. And hi, Bob. How are you?
Hello, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Okay.
Lydia Bavante should be joining us.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, here she is.
Okay, I'm going to start the meeting then, Hillary, if it's okay.
Yes,
with-
please.
This is a meeting of the Wellfleet Board of Health. And it will be virtual based on the open meeting law and the requirements by the government, which is still in effect, I'm assuming. The July 15th deadline didn't go through. Welcome to all. We'll get started on our agenda. Our first is a variance request for 320 Main Street, Wellfleet, Massachusetts. And Jason, take it away.
hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So this is just an upgrade. The property is it's a 4-bedroom house. It's currently served by 5 cesspools. It's right in the center of town. The property is located right behind Winslow's Tavern. It's the property is kind of complicated a little bit because Winslow's Tavern is still on a well, which is a public water supply well, which has a huge zone 1. It has 155-foot zone 1, which we can't put any septic system components within that zone 1. So it really restricts us to locating the septic system where I have it on the north side of the property. And there's a number of variances that we would need to do that. We're looking for a 5-foot variance from the proposed SAS or leach area to the lot line, which is for that rear parcel there. It's actually that's actually part of the Winslow's parcel, is parcel 1.1. An 8-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the foundation, a 7-foot variance from the proposed septic tank to the foundation, no reserve area, and then we're looking for a 45-foot variance for the leach area to the wetland. And,
Okay.
if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Deb?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm looking at the plan and I only see 2 cesspools on it. Where are the other 3?
All those circles are cesspools.
Okay, they're just not labeled.
No,
Okay. And there's
That's-
no way to move this further away from the wetland?
no, the zone 1 for the public water supply takes precedent. I'm not allowed to put any septic components within the zone 1, which pretty much eliminates about 85% of the property because it's down on the southeast corner of the property.
Okay, am I correct that it's not drawn on this lot map?
No, it's there. See where it says existing PWS well? Down on the lower right, just above where it says septic system upgrade plan.
Yep.
yes, I see it there.
And then you
Okay, and then that line, that arc is
You
the
see
line,
that there's two lines. I gave you a 100-foot line or 100-foot arc, and then I gave you the 155-foot zone 1 arc. And the zone 1 is what's established by the Department of Environmental Protection. They establish through their calculations what the zone 1 size is based on how many people use the well, how big the restaurant is, that kind of thing. I was actually kind of surprised that that place was still on a well because they have access to town water. I was kind of surprised they're still on a well, but
Jason, this is Nick. Janet,
No, yes, Nick, go ahead.
Jason, have you considered an alternative system at all with that variance request for the wetland? Because this is a very sensitive area. It's in the Duck Creek watershed of the sub-embayment. And I
mean,
think it'd be very difficult. We're in a very strange position right now as the Board of Health because we're in a transition zone. Come this fall, the state is going to issue some revised regulations with respect to Title V, and it would definitely mean that you would have something put in there, maybe even an EIA then. But I think it's going to be difficult for me in this area to put something in without an enhanced system.
I designed it based upon your regulations not requiring it in this situation. So,
What is that? I'm not aware of that regulation as far as not requiring it in this situation.
your regulation only requires IA technology if I'm getting a variance to a well or getting a variance to a saltwater wetland. This is a freshwater wetland. So, if I was getting a variance to a salt marsh or a top of coastal bank or a coastal beach or a dune or something like that, that's when your regulation mandates using IA technology. This is already going to be an incredibly expensive septic system to install just because of the logistics, the tree removal and everything else that's involved here. Adding IA to this is probably going to add another 20,000, maybe 25,000 to the already expensive cost of the system. So I don't think my clients are willing to increase the cost of that when it's not required under any regulation.
Yeah,
Well,
Go on,
No, I'm just saying, I think, to separate saltwater, freshwater, I think it's all connected from my perspective. And I think.
Well, it's what your regulation says. So that's the way we've been designing. I've been designing septic systems in Wellfleet for 25 years.
No, I'm not questioning your knowledge about all this. I'm just saying times have changed and we're in a very tricky position right now. Even to the extent that probably this is going to be in the Seward area in a couple of years, that will be, sewers will be being put in there if our watershed permit is, as I expect it will be approved. So I think, starting in the fall, 2023, in this area, we're going to be putting EIAs in. So I think when you say separation, freshwater, saltwater, to me, it doesn't make that much difference because it's all connected. All that stuff winds up in the harbor. That's why we have such a wonderful estuary and good shellfish. And the other, as far as our regulation, I think we have the 201 tells us the same regulation that gives us the ability to give variances. We can be more restrictive. So I just have difficulty right now. Maybe by the end of the meeting, I'll change my opinion. But I think, I don't know, I'm kind of getting to the point where I think we need these put in.
right. If I could just comment too, Nick, when you're done. Let me know when you're done.
No, I'm finished, Jen. I just,
Okay. And, you know, Jason, with all due respect to your, you know, working so well with us, you know, which you have, and you've been very aware of the environment, and it's been impressive, you know, in some of the thoughts and the counseling you've given to your clients, and you've come up with excellent plans and take a tough situation and make it better. And although it's not mandatory, you know, that word mandatory isn't, we can't back that up right now. I think it's something that we firmly believe as we head forward. You know, we have so much more information now in your 25 years of experience with us that we would be remiss in our mission not to say that, you know, an EIA is a perfect alternative for this right now, for this lot. I mean, we went and made a site visit, and it is a lot that is very, very complex. I mean, there's a lot of tree removal. It's going to be a lot of work, and I'm sure a lot of expense. But again, you know, to put the head on the pillow, we would be remiss not to say that this truly does require an EIA, this wastewater system.
I mean, it's, again, like I have to design based on your regulations. Years ago, I used to go before the Eastham Board of Health and the Wellfleet Board of Health, and they would make the same suggestion. They'd say, you know, we know that it, you know, IA is not required in this situation, but have you considered it? And it's not my consideration. It's a homeowner.
Yes.
You know, they don't want to spend another $25,000 on a septic system if it's not required. And right now, it's not in this situation, it's not required under a regulation. So they actually have the ability to put this in without the IA technology because it's not in your regulation the way you want it to be right now. I mean, so what I could suggest to you is put it in regulation, and then then it comes in the way you want it. If that's the way you want it, you need to get it in your regulation.
The thing is, Jason, we're in that process. We're in that process. And again, I can't stress more the substantial scientific data we have now. You know, suggestions that might even have been made 2 years ago are not the same as they are today because we have more data. We have something that's working well on the Cape, not just in Wellfleet, but on the Cape. You know, and for us to ignore that means we're not following our mission. So we would be remiss not to suggest to the homeowners and to our engineers to be really really encouraging to look beyond the mandatory.
correct.
So.
Can I just for 1 minute too, Jason, I don't know if you're aware that the DEP sent out correspondence to all of the towns. Have you seen any of that?
I have not seen it. I've heard little bits and pieces of it, but I haven't read anything.
I can share it with you, but it essentially said within a short amount of time, they're going to go to public hearing and change their regulation and require these enhanced IA systems in, I think there are 32 embayments that this would apply to with impaired water bodies, and Wellfleet Harbor is one of them. And there will be no room to negotiate that. And so I wonder, at a time like this where we know it's coming from two directions, from DEP and from the town on our watershed management permit, that these things are going to be required, if it doesn't make sense to design for it now, maybe you don't install the EIA component until it's required, but design for it now, because I'm worried that in the future, when this comes to fruition, we're not going to have enough engineers. Folks like Lydia and Bob who are putting systems in today, you know, are going to essentially feel the heat from these new regulations coming from Mass DEP and the town. And while you're in this step of the process, I just feel like to get it designed today would be easier for everyone. Maybe you don't install it today, but it's at least on your plan so you can move forward to install it when it is required, because there aren't going to be enough engineers and installers available when this actually happens. And to save folks a little money maybe, and some time and hassle, if we know it's coming, to just, you know, do the legwork up front. But, you know, that's between you and your client. It is true, we do not have a regulation requiring it today, so it is not required today. but in the near future, it will be. So.
Right. And also the meeting that we just had, there was there's nothing concrete, but at some point, those folks who have even a Title V in our high-risk areas are going to be given a
Okay.
5-year period to change it back. So the money that you might spend today, as Hillary is giving an excellent compromise in designing for an EIA, might be much less than what might be required 5 years down the road, where it becomes mandatory, especially in an area such as Bob and Lydia have. So, Debbie, any thoughts?
Tell me what you would do if you were going to make a system that could be changed to an IA system. How would that differ from what you're offering now?
So if you were to require an IA system here, I'd have to put a different type of septic tank in. It's a little bit bigger. It's a 2-compartment tank. As you guys know, I always use the Renko Advantech system. That's the system that I prefer to use. I think it's the best one on the market. And that would be incorporated into the system. By using that system, it does allow me to reduce the size of the leach field by 50%. So I can reduce the size of the leach area, which would offset a little bit of the cost, and it would perhaps make the variances a little less, than what they are. We'd still have variances, but that's probably what I would, those would be the changes. So I mean, it's really just like, the component costs of the Renko system itself. You're looking at like another like $15,000 for the components themselves, plus the installation cost of putting it together, and then there's a couple $1,000s a year maintenance on it. So it's just all those costs kind of add up. So it's but like I said, I can reduce the size of the leach area, which might offset things a little bit.
Right.
You'll be moving it away from the wetland.
It would probably be a little half and half. I mean, Title V only requires a 50-foot setback from a wetland, so this is 100% compliant from the state standpoint in terms of its distance to the wetland. It's your regulation that requires 100 feet. The thing that's probably the most important is maintaining that 100 or maximizing that zone 1 from that public water supply well. Like I said, I was kind of really surprised that restaurant is still on a well, but most of the wells, public water supply wells in town that have access to town water have been updated to town water. But so I would probably move it a little bit farther away from the wetland. You might be able to gain a foot or two, but I also want to try to get it farther away from that well also, because I'm just outside the 155-foot zone on that well. So
I have a question, Hillary, for you. The not being on the public water system, is there anything we can do regulation wise about that? Is there any kind of trajectory we can look at that might include, what is the waste system that Winslow Tavern uses now? I mean, where is it? And would encouraging them to go on the public water system give Jason a little bit more leverage to plan out what he's doing?
Well, it looks like Lydia and Bob have the intention of connecting to the water system for their property at some point in the near future here. And unfortunately, it is up to the property owner to determine if they want to go on to the water system or if they want to stay on a private well. And I think Jason or Lydia reached out to Winslow's Tavern to inquire, and they had no interest of connecting to the water system. So my guess is there will come a time, or when their septic system needs to be repaired or replaced, where we would then have the opportunity to have them
Utilize.
connect to the water system because of the number of variances on that property. So in the future, it will be on there, but even if they're on there, we still don't, I mean, we could, I guess in theory, move it to the front, but there's still another well for a neighbor. There's a lot going on in this very tight
Yeah.
section of town. So it's unfortunate, but I think we have to deal with what's in front of us.
Okay, Jason, you had your hand up?
Oh, I just wanted to point out that, so on the plan there, on the right-hand side of the plan, there's a giant rectangle. That's actually the leach field for Winslow. As you can see, it's almost entirely within their own zone 1. And their septic tanks, can you see where it says benchmark down on my
Yeah.
plan there, just above my seal? That's
Mhm.
that's where all their septic tanks are located. They're located about 25
Oh,
feet
where did I
away
lose this?
from their own well. And there's a BioClear system there. There's it has an IA system that's been in there for, I think, the mid-90s. It's been in there for a really long time. I was just surprised that when the board granted those variances way back when, they didn't put a condition on those variances to them to hook up to town water when it was available. But you can see that their whole septic system is within their zone 1. But
Okay,
and I think part of the town hall's septic system is within their zone 1 too.
Nick, did you
Janet,
want to say something?
This is Nick. I have a question for Hillary.
Yes,
Hillary, is this property technically in the sewer collection area when that gets?
Yeah, it would be.
Now, is that going to be mandatory as far as the hookup to the sewer?
That's yet to be determined. We may have the ability to use administrative consent orders to allow folks who have freshly upgraded systems with this
That's what I was
EIA
wondering.
technology a time period, but that's all up for negotiation in our regulation
Right.
discussion.
okay.
Right. I was just wondering about trying to be creative here because it's going to be 3 years before the sewers go in and we're going to have this issue.
I would say
Throughout Main
6
Street.
years. I mean, 3
Yeah, I would
years.
say that 3 years.
But
is-
that's before they even begin the process. So I'm saying we're going to have a lot of properties that we're going to have to deal with as far as
Yes,
the septic systems, and we're going to have to come up with some creative incentives.
yes.
I guess if it's 6 years away, I was thinking of even those who would help us out and put in an EIA now ahead of
Yep.
schedule, so to speak. Would
Yeah,
get free
and that's
hookup.
where we've talked in the past about allowing those systems to remain in the ground until either
Okay,
the numbers are showing that they're not working, or it's been 20 years, or,
Right.
have some requirement to
Right.
switch to the sewer over time.
Right. Thank you.
Now,
Okay,
just ask also the homeowner, is there any intention, it's just being upgraded to sell the property or any?
I really don't know what their intention is, whether they're going to sell or if they're just doing it
Why,
to
why I
upgrade the
ask,
septic. So
right, because why I ask if they sell and it's later in the fall, they'll have to put in, EIA then, so they're spending money now and then it's gonna have to be upgraded then anyway, but. All right.
Actually,
I just
our
was
intention
curious.
is to
Thank you.
purchase the property.
I'm sorry, Bob, what did you say? I don't think
Oh,
we
our
heard.
intention is to purchase the property. I'm not currently an owner of the property, but for me
Okay,
to take an ownership position, we need to do the upgrade.
All right,
Lydia has an ownership interest now, and she'll retain that. Or
okay, so can I have a motion, I guess? Are we ready for a motion? Yay or nay? Or what's our pleasure, guys? How do we want to word this? How do we want to say this?
I have the easy motion maker, but I'm not sure
But I
where you
don't know,
all
yeah,
landed with your
that's not the
decision. so-
problem. That's not the problem. The problem is the decision.
Okay,
I do feel for Lydia and Bob, and I do feel for Jason. However, I also do feel for the mission that we have to our lovely embayment that we have. So I like exploration of Hillary's alternative. I know it's still not very inexpensive, but that's how I feel. And I don't know how anybody else feels. I think it could be considered by Lydia and Bob, and look at the pricing from Jason and be ready to put in an EIA when the regulation goes through with that condition. But, I don't know if anybody, Debbie, how do you feel about a final?
I agree with you, Janet.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, I can probably reluctantly agree, as long as we're set up for that transition.
Yes.
And I understand the regulatory issues now are a little
Right.
limited to some extent.
And I think the unfortunate message that this quorum is giving today is that we really feel that an EIA is what is really needed there. And
Well,
we could,
the
Yes.
problem with that, Janet, is we're going to go through this over and over again now until,
right.
and our plan, has our watershed plan formally been signed off on now?
No, it's been submitted to Mass DEP and the Cape
So
Cod
we-
Commission for a concurrent review, so.
So we don't
Yes.
have the formal plan. So without that.
We're in a period, a limbo period.
Limits us a little bit. Yeah, exactly. All right. But
But I
we're
think-
we're
I
just
think- I
setting
don't-
this
I
up for
think the
more work
discussion-
later on.
I don't
That's
know
what
if
we're doing.
Jason wants to have this discussion on Zoom, and he'd rather have it privately with his clients. But that's how I feel I would like to pass this. And if I don't pass it with the possible compromise, I wouldn't pass it at all. But I don't know how everybody else feels.
My vote would be against it without the compromise.
Okay.
Mine likely, mine would be also.
Question, would the compromise sound something like a revised plan to be submitted with an enhanced IA system and then the enhanced IA system to be installed upon regulation change?
Sounds perfect, Hillary. And thank you for the genesis of this compliment, Hillary.
Well, I don't know. I'm getting worried about our people here because
Yes,
and we did try to make this point to DEP when we met with them, but we're approving and installing septic systems every day. And they're gonna go ahead and change their regulation in the short term here, and all of our people are gonna have to change what they just spent good money on. So
Right.
that's the piece that worries me.
right.
Is that I feel like if we don't bring it up and we don't talk about it, we're sort of shielding people from what's going to come. And then in 6 months, they're going to be like, why didn't you tell us this? Or we didn't know this was even happening. So we're kind of in a really bad spot here. Like,
Exactly.
our targeted watershed plan aside, Mass DEP is taking this step. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's no
our
longer just
hands
in
are
our
kind of
hands.
tied, and the general public doesn't even realize that this is going on. So we're in a tricky spot.
Yeah, Hillary, this may take place even this fall, according to DEP.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
mean,
regulation
yes.
change.
Yeah.
Well, and the way they rushed out to all the select boards, in
Yes,
these
yes.
communities, they're in an urgent rush. So
Right.
I feel like if we don't have this conversation with the people that come before us, we would be remiss.
No,
So,
I agree.
And
I guess-
and also with our engineers. I mean, the people
Yes,
like
for sure.
Jason have to know this because there's just so many of you around.
Exactly.
So
well, they're
so-
dwindling too. So,
and they're dwindling. Yeah.
so I don't know, Jay, Lydia, Bob, what do you folks want us to do? Do you want to go back and talk about it? Do you want us to make a motion tonight? How would you like us to proceed?
Well, I don't think we really need, I mean, from what Jason said, I mean, there will be an additional cost, but it sounded like, that's just the way it is. And
Yeah.
and also, without agreeing to this, we can't really proceed. So, I mean, it doesn't sound, I mean, the whole package, once that second piece is required down the road, it'll add up, but the immediate cost, I think we can live with.
Okay.
And also, I mean, frankly, there's no choice. I mean, it's
Right.
Can
You're
I,
right.
Janet, through you, can I ask Hillary?
Yes.
Once again, Hillary, is there no money available?
There's
the
no
EIA.
design money available. There's $12,500 available to homeowners who install the technology today.
So take that into consideration until so we could subsidize an enhanced system by $12,500. Is that what you're
When you
saying?
attach it, when it's attached, when it's functioning, yeah,
when it's in the ground, yeah.
right. Okay, so let's change the motion. Do we want to change the motion then?
Okay, let me give it a go here. I move to approve J.C. Ellis plan number, which we don't have yet. Dated, we don't have the date yet. And
No,
grant the 5 variances requested in the letter of 6/13/22 for the upgrade of a septic system to serve a 4-bedroom structure, a grandfather non-conforming dwelling with respect to nitrogen loading. Subject to the following conditions: design flow to be limited to 444 gallons per day to serve 4 bedrooms. No increase in habitable area or conversion of use without Board of Health review. Well water testing, deed recording, connection with the municipal water system. IA monitoring after the EIA installation, a revised plan to be submitted with an enhanced IA system, an enhanced IA system to be installed upon regulation change by Board of Health.
Okay.
Second.
all in favor?
I can
Aye.
Okay, so unanimous. Okay, thank you, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Lydia. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob,
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
So once again, the regulation
So
being placed, so they have to install regulations.
I had asked Rebecca to put this on our agenda because I wanted to make sure we got a public hearing scheduled, and I was going to suggest that we hold the public hearing or begin holding public hearings at our next meeting,
Okay,
which would be August 10th. And I wanted to send our regulations, our draft regulations to the local engineers and installers to try and get some participation. Possibly we can do some larger notification. I would love to get the business folks tuned into it because they will all be required to do some inspecting and some upgrading as well. Running with the business license cycles. So I feel like we want to spread the net far to
Right.
gain participation in the public hearing so we can at least
Right.
begin educating and making people aware, because I think the more people that are aware of what's going on, the better that will be, because it's, it's kind of distressing to me that there's all this stuff going on. And while I assume folks are aware, I'm sure they are not aware.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so I guess maybe what I'm thinking is, we have to advertise the public hearing in the newspaper, obviously.
yes,
We could put it on the town website. We could try the emergency notification system. We've sent messages out on that aren't emergency. We just don't call their phone and text them and do everything. We just send it to their email. So we would get
Right.
some, I think, 600 or 700 people that way. And we have a business license list at town hall. We could possibly package up the regulation, or at least maybe give a summary overview and a link to the website to view the regulation change. But
yes.
I'm open to any and all ideas here. Go ahead.
I would suggest sending it to the Chamber of Commerce with a request that they publicize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have an excellent they do an excellent job of that, Debbie. You're right.
Yeah. And Lara's gone, and they just hired Brianna Sullivan, I think. I haven't worked with her. I met her at the crafters market the day I saw you,
Yes.
Janet. So she
Yes,
seems
yes.
lovely, and
Yeah.
we can certainly work with them also.
Okay,
Also, I would suggest sending it to other committees. Notice to the Conservation Commission, to the wastewater group, to the recycling, and anyone connected with that.
Right.
I'm probably missing some committees to the conservation? Is there,
Well, probably NRAB, Shellfish. I think we
Yeah,
can send it to,
Yeah,
I think I can have
everybody.
Rebecca Eldridge send it to all the committees. I think
Right.
there's that capability.
And just to piggyback on that, which I know this is not totally within our realm, but I also think the advent of our sewer plan in our 208 plan needs to be publicized. It needs to get out there. Because especially to your business community, you know, and we have to talk about what we're going to do to compromise those areas that could be sewered sooner than later, as far as implementing our regulations, you know, because I mean, in this case, we're looking at an installation of an EIA as opposed to the Title V with the variances. But at some point, it's going to be a sewer on top of that. And I think there's been an oversight in our community as far as trying to get that information out. We saw the attendance at the meeting that the MEP, you know, people don't understand that. I mean, and the work that has been done on it is excellent. But it's there, you know, and this is our future. So I think, and that's not our purview. I know that, but I know
Yeah,
that.
so, I
Well,
mean, maybe,
It's
important though,
it's
Janet,
the
yeah.
select board's
It's,
you know, to
yeah,
get that information out there.
but I think maybe for our purposes, when we do the notification, maybe we can ask Anastasia for a
Yes,
map that
Good idea.
shows the sewer district and then the maps and parcels. And then we have the administrative times for upgrades and the administrative consent order form that we would work into those arrangements.
Okay, great. Thank you, Hillary. Great.
Yeah, of course. Looks like
Okay.
Ryan has his hand up, Janet.
Hi, Ryan. Yes.
Hi. So at the meeting, we instructed, that the public participation program be developed with the Cape Cod Commission. Hillary, have you done anything on that yet?
No, I talked to Aaron Perry about it couple weeks ago, and we were gonna first submit for our consistency review to the Cape Cod Commission and DEP. That was the first step.
Okay, because the intent was to have it in August for the first meeting of that. So I don't even know now. All right.
Yeah, no, my guess is August is not realistic. Because I think they need to review the plan first and figure out what it says.
So part of the 208 consistency review is consistency of the public participation.
Right.
It's part of the review. And part of the reason to do it before there's a finalized plan is so that you get input from the community. It should have been done 8 months ago. And we asked for it to be done 8 months ago. Here we are, and the goal was now to have it in August when there's a lot of the seasonal residents around who are going to be impacted by these plans, and to do it while they were here. That we're not doing that is very problematic. So, yeah.
Okay.
one other group, Hillary, would be the Non-Residents Taxpayers
Right.
Association.
They're very active. Yeah.
Get it out to them.
all right.
You know, and if you look at John Q. Public and also our non-resident taxpayers, I don't think there's a very, very high percentage of even an awareness of what might be in the plan, how, and what's the process that it's gone through. I mean, I think if you talk to 85% of the people, they still think that the oysters are going to be our answer to removing nitrogen. So we've got a big job ahead of us. It's a very, very big job. And it's been identified not just 6 or 8 months ago, but it's been identified 2 years ago that the public was not in the loop as far as the entire process of our 208 plan and how long it's taken and what the avenues have been to, get to it. So I think you're right, Ryan. We have a big job ahead of us, and I think we all have to share in that, you know, as board members, as, you know, anything we can do to get it out there. We need to do that. So, but we're going to get help on that, right? That was what the meeting the other night that we were at, Hillary. It sounded
Yeah,
like there was yeah,
Yes. Yes.
good. Okay. Great.
All right.
All right. So, anything else on our agenda for tonight? No, right?
No,
Not
that's
for
it.
today. Okay, great. Anything else anybody else wants to bring up? Yes, Debbie.
Just one question. The issue that Jason brought up about the distinction between freshwater and saltwater, is that addressed in our new regulations?
It is addressed because so many other situations capture the improvement to the EIA.
Okay.
So it is there, you know, I think.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Good reminder, Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. That was my issue, exactly, but they're all connected.
So, good.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Can we have
until we meet again.
Yes, and the 24th is fine for me, Hillary. I know I got
Yeah,
the note.
we had a quorum of people, so we went ahead and scheduled that just so that we had it on the docket.
Great, okay.
The only other thing, and I don't really want to delve too far into it right now because I have a conscom meeting at 4.
Yes,
Is that Ken was wondering, Janet, if you would consider taking over permanently as chair, because he's worried he's not going to have enough time to fulfill the duties moving forward. So I don't need a commitment today, but just a consideration.
I'll think about it, but I would also open it to anybody else on the board who would be
Okay.
interested in that role. So let's talk about it the next time we meet, okay?
Okay, we'll put board reorganization on the agenda.
Sounds great.
Okay, amazing. Good night.
Do we
Good
need a
night.
motion to
Thank you.
adjourn?
Yes, please.
So moved.
Yeah, okay, great. And all in favor? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Good luck with Conscom, Hill.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.